What if we are not the first? Not the first to build. Not the first to think. Not the first to reach for the stars. Humanity believes it stands at the pinnacle of Earth's story, the latest and greatest expression of intelligence this planet has ever seen. But what if that belief is wrong? What if, buried deep beneath our feet, lie the long-erased traces of another civilization, one that rose, thrived, and fell millions of years before us? This is not a myth. It's not a conspiracy. It's a real scientific question, one proposed by two NASA scientists in 2018. They called it the Silurian Hypothesis. And it asks something both simple and profound. If an industrial civilization existed on Earth long before humans, would we even know? The Earth has existed for over 4.5 billion years. Modern humans, only about 300,000. Our industrial civilization, barely 300. Everything we know, everything we've built, everything we've recorded, exists in the thinnest layer of geological time. But the Earth is a restless planet. Mountains rise and crumble. Continents drift. Oceans advance and retreat. Rocks melt, and new ones form from their ashes. Over millions of years, the surface of our world is constantly erased and rewritten. So if a civilization had risen tens of millions of years ago, long before us, what evidence would still remain? That is the heart of the Silurian Hypothesis. It challenges us to think not just about who we are, but about what might have been. The idea came not from fringe theorists, but from respected scientists, Gavin Schmidt, a climate scientist at NASA, and Adam Frank, an astrophysicist at the University of Rochester. Their work began not as a question about ancient Earth, but about exoplanets, worlds orbiting other stars. They wanted to know, if we searched for signs of alien civilizations, what kind of traces would we actually find in the geological record of a planet? Then came a twist of logic. If such traces could exist on other worlds, could they exist here too? Could we, right now, be living on a planet that once hosted an intelligent species, long since vanished? Thus was born the Silurian Hypothesis, named after an ancient geological period, and, amusingly, a nod to the reptilian Silurians from the television series Doctor Who. It wasn't meant to prove anything. It was a thought experiment, a scientific exercise in humility. A way of asking, how would we detect ourselves if we were already gone? Think about what defines civilization: energy use, technology, cities, agriculture, waste. Humanity leaves behind clear markers. Plastics, concrete, fossil fuels, heavy metals, radioactive isotopes. We have changed the chemistry of the atmosphere and the oceans. We have carved mountains and dammed rivers. We are leaving a layer, a geological fingerprint, that future scientists could detect long after we are gone. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even these signs would fade. Over tens of millions of years, plastics degrade. Buildings crumble. Oceans shift. Continents recycle through plate tectonics. Almost everything would disappear. The only things that might remain are chemical anomalies, thin bands in the rocks showing unusual levels of carbon, temperature spikes, or synthetic isotopes. To future eyes, those faint clues might look like natural events. Volcanic eruptions. Methane releases. Sudden warming periods. So even if another civilization had existed 50 or 100 million years ago, we might never recognize its traces for what they were. Let's travel back through time. 50 million years ago, the Eocene. The world was lush and hot. Forests stretched from pole to pole. Whales were just beginning to evolve. If an intelligent species had lived then, and built, and burned, and vanished, what would be left now? Almost nothing. The ocean floor from that era has long since been recycled into the Earth's mantle. Most rocks from that time have eroded or transformed. The fossils that remain are scattered fragments, bones, shells, impressions in stone. The deeper we go in time, the more the record disappears. Even the dinosaurs, who ruled the Earth for 165 million years, are known from only a few thousand fossilized individuals. A tiny fraction of everything that ever lived. Now imagine an intelligent species that lasted for only a few 100,000 years, like us. How much evidence would survive after 100 million years? Perhaps none at all. The Earth forgets. It is a master of erasure. So what could we search for? Schmidt and Frank outline several possible traces that an ancient industrial civilization might leave behind, the same traces we're leaving now. First, chemical fingerprints. Our burning of fossil fuels releases massive amounts of carbon dioxide, and with it, a unique ratio of carbon isotopes. Over geological time, this could leave a detectable layer, a carbon spike, marking a sudden, unnatural change in the planet's chemistry. Second, synthetic materials. Plastics, if buried and preserved in anoxic environments, could fossilize into new minerals, what geologists have already begun calling plastiglomerates. Third, radioactive isotopes from nuclear testing could persist for millions of years in trace amounts, detectable by their decay products. And finally, mass extinction patterns, sudden die-offs triggered by rapid climate shifts, could hint at industrial activity. The question is not whether such markers exist. The question is whether we could ever distinguish them from natural processes. Because the Earth has seen similar events before, abrupt warming, carbon spikes, extinction waves, long before humans appeared. In the past 500 million years, Earth has experienced several major climate shifts and extinction events. The Paleocene and Eocene thermal maximum, 56 million years ago, is particularly interesting. During this event, global temperatures rose by 5 to 8 degrees Celsius in a geological instant. Carbon levels spiked. Oceans acidified. Many species vanished. Sound familiar? It mirrors what is happening now, except it happened tens of millions of years before humans evolved. Scientists attribute it to natural processes, perhaps volcanic activity or methane releases from the seafloor. But could it have been something else? That's not a claim, it's a question. And questions like that make scientists uncomfortable. Because the Silurian hypothesis doesn't say there was another civilization. It simply says that, if there had been one, we might never know. Human beings crave certainty. We want to point to bones, ruins, and artifacts. We want evidence we can hold in our hands. But geology does not preserve such things easily. The oldest ocean floor is only about 200 million years old. Everything older has been subducted and melted into magma. Land surfaces erode within tens of millions of years. Cities crumble in thousands. Even the pyramids, some of our most enduring monuments, would vanish completely within a few 100,000 years. So what, realistically, could survive tens of millions? A few buried artifacts, perhaps, deep in sediment. A scattering of chemical traces. Maybe, if we were lucky, a single anomalous layer of rock that whispers of something unnatural. But even then, would future geologists recognize it? Or would they dismiss it as yet another quirk of deep time? In truth, the Silurian hypothesis is less about the past, and more about us. It forces us to see our civilization through the eyes of deep time. To ask not just what came before, but what will come after. If we vanished tomorrow, if every city, every machine, every trace of us disappeared, how long would our memory endure? In 10,000 years, our buildings would crumble. In a million, almost nothing would remain. In 100 million, the planet would be nearly clean, save for a few chemical scars in the rocks. To future species, we might appear as a brief, mysterious warming event, a strange blip in the fossil record. A geological whisper of an age that came and went in the blink of an eye. So when we ask if another civilization existed before us, we are really asking something else. Will anyone know that we existed at all? The Silurian hypothesis has also become a tool for astrobiology, the study of life on other worlds. If we struggle to detect traces of an ancient civilization on Earth, how can we hope to find them on Mars, Venus, or exoplanets light years away? If intelligent life arises again and again across cosmic time, perhaps it always faces the same fate, a rise, a flourishing, and then erasure. A repeating cycle of creation and forgetting. Civilizations might come and go like waves, leaving behind only faint chemical echoes in the rocks of distant worlds. And perhaps, somewhere out there, another planet is asking the same question. Were we the first? Or merely the latest? The Silurian Hypothesis reminds us how small we are against the vast canvas of geological time. Our history feels long, yet it is nothing compared to the planets. We measure our lives in decades, civilizations in centuries. But the Earth measures in millions of years. It has seen empires rise and fall, not just ours, but possibly others we will never know. Every mountain, every ocean, every layer of rock tells a fragment of a story, but the earlier pages are missing. Burned away. Rewritten. To think that we are the first and only intelligent beings ever to walk this world might simply be arrogance dressed as certainty. So what if we are not the first? What if, long before humanity, another mind looked up at the stars and wondered, as we do, what else might be out there? What if they built, created, dreamed, and vanished, leaving only silence behind? Perhaps their memory is buried under miles of stone. Perhaps their world ended in fire, flood, or self-destruction. Perhaps the Earth, patient and ancient, simply started over. And now, here we are, another experiment in intelligence, another brief spark in the darkness. The Silurian Hypothesis is not proof of lost civilizations. It's a mirror. A reminder that our time is fleeting, our trace is fragile, our certainty small. We are part of a story that stretches billions of years before us, and will continue billions after we are gone. And maybe, just maybe, we are not the first ones to tell it. In the silence of deep time, the Earth remembers nothing. But it changes everything. Perhaps that is the final truth. Civilizations rise and fall. Species come and go. But the planet endures. And if we listen closely, we might just hear the faint echoes of those who came before.